This video is brought to you by Parks and Power. In part 3, we heard from Ralph Sievert from the NPRB on how they feel they've handled the EAB issue in North Minneapolis. In this final video in the series, Mitchel Hansen will give us some perspective on the history of the EAB infestation in Minneapolis.
Hi, my name is Mitchel Hansen. I'm the Community Outreach Director for Harrison Neighborhood Association. I love the Northside, love investigating things, helping people, building rapport with the community. I guess my philosophy is that, it's going to be Harrison focused first, but because that's my job. But if it's something that I find out that's affecting other people, I'm going to go after whoever's harming them. Most of this research and activism has been done in my free time, probably well over 1,000 hours of research at this point. So emerald ash borer is a beetle, and it can kill every ash tree by tunneling under the bark and feeding on the part of the tree that moves water and sugars up and down the trunk. Basically the human equivalent of being unable to breathe. And this beetle, it hopped in a crate from Asia, ended up in Detroit, and has spread throughout a large portion of the country. So the way that I found out about this is some people in my neighborhood came to me and they had said that people were on their property trying to charge them up to $16,000 to remove a single tree. So my job as community outreach was to help these people. And what I found was incredibly disturbing. I found out that there had actually been financial hardship options that would fit for this individual and the second individual I talked to. And they would have qualified for deferment because they're 65 years or older, meaning they wouldn't have to pay until they sold their house or they moved. But instead of that, everybody in the north side and everybody that was getting hit with these special assessments were getting the special assessments in the form of liens on their homes. So it's basically a levy in the form of a lien on your home for 5 years. If you don't pay it in 5 years, you can lose your home, and the city will most likely obtain that home. Now, when we talked to Ralph, when we talked to other people about this, they discussed how they had added a 20-year plan and everything else. And I was like, okay, can I get the information for this? Let me see how many people have utilized this. Less than 10 people have utilized the 10-year plan. Less than 10 people have used the deferment option, which means you don't have to pay until you either die, or you sell the house. And there's a 20-year option, and everyone has been placed on the 5. Now, you got to ask yourself, what is the reason for this? And at this point, I'm worried because I'm thinking, okay, this has got to be affecting more than just these people. So I went to the Northside Green Zone Task Force meeting and I told them about what had been happening. And that's when I met Roxanne and other people that had been affected by this. And I found out that Amake had this happen to her. And essentially, these people just go onto your property. And the way they do this is it's called nuisance abatement law. So they created an ordinance in 2013 that allows them to just go onto your property and just condemn your tree. And despite the fact that they said that they only found emerald ash borer in the north side recently, is not true, because we have a condemnation list, meaning all of the automatic liens placed on homes, and they're in every part of the city by 2014. So any map you see that has years that are after 2014 for any neighborhood, or 2015 at the latest, are simply not true. And so the reason why this happened is because you're only supposed to plant 10% of any species of any tree. And that's because when a pest comes or infestation, a invasive species, they'll destroy, a significant part of the urban canopy. And what's really a big problem is that elm trees were hit with Dutch elm, and now you have emerald ash borer. Now those two trees alone, according to a study in 2005 by Greg McPherson of City Forest Credits, said that almost 50% of all the benefits of trees in Minneapolis urban canopy were from ash and elm. That means with these trees being gone, you lose all the benefits, and you're looking at cardiovascular disease and deaths from that. There's already been proof that links the removal of a significant amount of trees like this to death. There's no mitigating urban heat islands like they claim. Basically the opposite of what they're saying is happening. We are left with a bunch of very small or young trees or dead trees. Now, according to a study in 2022, it said that for removals, a significant portion of that were in an other category, or they were because of improper planting. Only 33% of these trees were removed due to emerald ash borer. So when they were removing public trees, they were testing and they were treating trees. People in the Southwest, people in other areas of the city, people that are wealthy, affluent areas, we have proof of meetings, at least 5 or 6, Bryn Mawr, Linden Hills, other places where Ralph and Philip went and they were like, hey, this is coming, you need to prepare, save money, remove your tree, whatever you got to do, but we want to give you a heads up. That did not happen in Minneapolis in the north side until we had to push them to in 2022. Now, when they came, they were incredibly rude. They kept talking about Dutch elm, and all I could think the whole time is everyone else in the city got a 10-year head start at least for this. So North Minneapolis is just hit with this all at once. They did no community outreach. They didn't talk to anyone in the north side. They just said neighborhoods that were willing to work with us. Now, if you look at how many assessments were actually, how many liens were put on people's homes, an incredibly small percent are in Southwest, Linden Hills, Bryn Mawr, other places because they knew about it. In the north side, you have thousands of these all of a sudden in the past couple of years. So the amount of special assessments and liens placed on homes in the north side is more in just a couple of years than all of them previously going back to 2013. To me, that is absolutely crazy. So other cities have handled this differently. When Ralph says, oh, it's not cost effective, or, it doesn't make sense to treat trees, or we can't do our job because of city politics, that's just simply not true. Now, the thing they refer to, that's not a law. It's just, oh, we're not fans of pollinators. It was more of a public sentiment than it was an actual, law. So in Chicago, for instance, they said, we're going to treat every single public ash tree. It's only going to cost us $6 million for 3 years. It'll cost $75 million to remove all these trees. It'll take 10 years, and it'll be super dangerous in between. It is unsafe to not treat these trees. Now, Ralph says it's unsafe to let them stand. So instead of treating trees and being preemptive, they're all of a sudden just removing every tree in the north side and saying it has to happen. Now, if it spread like they said it did last, the north side, why did the same thing not happen in other areas? Because they're wealthy, white, affluent areas, and they admitted to targeting racially concentrated areas of poverty in their Minneapolis Tree Advisory Commission meeting. Was this intentional? Yes. The opposite of intentional is inadvertent or accidental. This was all on purpose.